hopeless.
And the romantics.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Katie.
And this week we're doing... I'm gonna end up spitting all over my microphone. Lovebirds. The Lovebirds.
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 No.
I crack myself up. I notice, like, when I re-listen to the episodes, I'm laughing at my jokes so much.
You know what?
I think
Someone's
I'm hysterical
got to.
just now. All right.
I'm just kidding.
Should we stop the podcast?
Yeah, we should.
Great.
This is actually, I brought you here under the guise of recording a new
bet you're
episode,
wondering why I brought you
but
here
this
today.
is actually me
Oh, I hate
live
this.
telling you.
Why would we start it off on anxiety? This is upsetting to me.
You made this happen.
I didn't. I brought it into the universe.
I'm kidding. I love you. I love recording with you, and I think you're hilarious.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be like thinking about it the whole time now.
Of course, you're hilarious.
I'm something. So we're talking about the Lovebirds today. It came out in 2020.
Lovebirds. Yes.
It's on Netflix. We think it should have been in theaters, but
I think it was supposed to be. I mean,
Yeah.
don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be. But then, pandemic prevented that from happening. So it came out on Netflix, and I watched it like when it first came out because I'm a big fan of Kumail Nanjiani and
he's so funny.
Miss Issa Rae. So
I'm obsessed with her.
They're amazing.
She's so funny.
And their chemistry is really amazing in the film too.
Yeah.
Like they're just so funny together.
Yeah.
And they bring like such good goof.
So Issa Rae plays Leilani and Kumail plays Jibran. And so it starts out. Should we get into it?
Yeah.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Sorry, what'd you say? Oh, what'd you say?
I said let's get into it.
Did you say let's get into it? Because I heard let's get into it. Let's get into it. Brr, brr. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Wicca what?
Let's get into it.
She loves this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy she loves recording a podcast with us.
Yes.
And by us, I mean me. So let's get into it. The movie starts out with Leilani and Jibran clearly, like, just
falling
having...
in love.
Yeah. Just having slept together, but, like, realizing, like, there's some deeper feelings here. And yeah, it's them falling in love. It's like a really cute scene.
They have this whole moment where it's like they're kind of like leaning into each other, and then she's like, "What is that? What face is that? Is that your
face.
Is that your I want to kiss you face?" And then he was like, "Is that your I want to kiss you face?" And then they kiss. And it seems like, oh, it's gonna be so happy.
It is. It does give me such an ick though. Sometimes when I see people's kiss face, I'm like, no. Never mind, don't kiss me.
Oh.
It's weird. Like, it's like people get, like, they're laughing, and then they get really serious and lean in, and you're just like, no.
You know what? I feel like I never notice it.
Ugh, it's
But I'm
strange.
usually just, like, so wrapped in the moment, probably doing my own kid's face.
I'm never wrapped in the moment because I'm a Virgo with anxiety, so I'm just like, why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah, because I feel like I can't even think of, like, what's Mike's kiss face? I don't know.
It's like they get, like, half-lidded eyes and, like, their jaw slacks, and I'm just like, what is happening?
That's so funny.
It's just so...
I'm just, like, so happy someone's about to kiss me. I'm like, I don't care what your face looks like.
I'm stressed someone's about to kiss me.
Lay one on me.
I'm eternally stressed at all times that someone may kiss me at any point.
We're fine.
I'm okay. I'm single.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so she's like, what's that face? And he's like, what face? And they're talking about, like, the kiss face. And then they do kiss. And
it's very cute.
It's really cute and like,
you're like
fun.
Oh my god, like there's something
They're so funny and hot and cute, and I'm obsessed.
And then
We jump to 4 years later.
And all of a sudden, you hear Issa being like, why do you think we couldn't win the Amazing Race?
Oh, you know what I love is the first scene where they're, like, falling in love. He says, like, you're unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next scene 4 years later opens with him being like, you're unbelievable.
Yes,
And I was like, oh, that's smart.
It's so smart.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, real.
It's just, like, context, baby. And, yeah, it's Issa Leilani being like, why don't you think we could win the Amazing Race?
Like, actually mad. Which, like, just so you know, this is, like, such a thing that I do. Like, I come up with hypotheticals, and then I'm, like, actually mad about the hypothetical.
You'll look at me and be like, Danielle, what if I walked like this? And it's just you, like, pointing your toes out as you walk. And I'm like, that's how you would walk.
I'd be like, well, you used to be my friend.
I don't think the way you walk would affect the way we'd be friends.
But, like, I remember one time something happened with Mike where I said, like, what if I got sucked into the computer?
Uh-huh.
And then he was just he was, like, making a joke. Like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but, like, I guess I'd just keep you as my screensaver. And I was like, you wouldn't come into the computer and save me? You would just make me live inside your computer screen? Like, I was actually mad.
Meanwhile, I'm like, this will happen to me. I'm going to get sucked into the computer and life will have to go on without me.
Literally. Oh, so that's it? So you're not going to do anything?
You would watch me get
You're
sucked.
Not
You wouldn't
me.
You wouldn't call the police? You wouldn't break open the computer to try and get me?
Literally me.
You wouldn't call Bill Gates?
And Mike just being like,
What is the right thing to say?
Yeah, what do I say? You say if I get sucked into the computer,
you jump in and find me.
And you get sucked yourself in, and then you find me.
And we live together happily in the computer. We get to surf the web, and we know everything. We're the new Clippy. It looks like you're writing a letter. Get us out of the computer.
Yeah, that's the response that I expect. So this hypothetical fight they're having about Amazing Race, yeah. I really get it.
I said that when it came up. I was like, Katie, this is so you. Because she's upset that Jibran thinks, like, they're not going to win the Amazing Race. And she's like, we could, though. And he's like, we couldn't. It's very, very Katie.
Yeah, and then as they're fighting, it's kind of funny, but then you realize there's, like, actual, like, holes in the relationship. Yeah. You're starting to see where it's, like, she's like, have you ever even seen The Amazing Race? And he is just kind of like, no. And she's like, okay,
so how do you know?
You're being so judgmental. Like, you've never even seen the show. And he's like, I don't like reality TV. And she's like, who doesn't like reality TV? Like,
and then he's like, get off your phone all the time. Like, because he thinks she's always preoccupied with her phone.
And Instagram and likes.
She thinks he's always preoccupied with this documentary he's been editing and working on and won't show her, like, there's a lot of cracks and, like, underlying insecurities that'll come up later and be talked about later, but, like, it all comes down to communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so they're on their way to a dinner party with a bunch of their friends. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that for Leilani, it's, like, important that they kind of show face. Mm-hmm. And they look cool and they serve the right energy for all her friends, and he cares a lot less about that, and you can tell that he's just kind of like, I don't care about this. And so they're in the car and their fighting starts to get, like, more intense.
Yeah, a lot more intense, a lot more serious, and, like, you can just tell it's, like, the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah, and then he says, like, he does kind of a deep cut to her.
He says, like, I don't want to be with someone who's, like, so interested in Instagram and not being who they are or something along those lines. And she says, I don't want to be with someone who's so okay with being a failure.
That, I was like, oh, shit. The gloves have been removed from this conversation.
The gloves are off, ladies and gentlemen.
And he's like, and then they both say, like, it's silent for a second, and then they're like,
This isn't working.
And, yeah, they're kind of staring at each other.
And they decide they're still going to go to this party because it's, like, Leilani's friends and, like, this guy she works with in IT is going to be there, and that's been, like, a sore spot for Jibran and because he thinks he steals jokes from Cat Williams, which he does. But, yeah, so they decide to still go to this party, and kind of just ride in silence. And as they're turning the corner, what happens? But
all of a sudden, and they're staring at each other.
Yeah.
He's not looking at what's in front of him. And all of a sudden, like, the windshield crashes and breaks, and there's, like, a noise, like, da-da-da-da, like a thud, and then they're like, oh, shit. So they stop, and they get out, and there's, like, a guy who was riding a bike, and he's, like, clearly...
been injured,
and Jibran is like, let me help you, let's we'll call the hospital, and the guy in the bike's like, no, I gotta get out of here. And he's like, I don't think you should be like,
they're so funny. It's like, I can't remember all the off the cuff things they say, but
oh my god, there's so much.
They like just have these little quips like in the moment that you can tell are improvised. Because like Issa and Kumail are like just like so comedic funny. Geniuses. So like funny. If you haven't watched Insecure, watch Insecure. And Kumail in Silicon Valley,
and The Big Sick,
so funny, and The Big Sick. I haven't seen that.
It just his stand up is so good. He's great. We stan Kumail in this house, and Issa
Rae.
But yeah, so and that's the thing with this movie too, is like, I think what I really like about it is like, you're in this kind of like situation where in most movies people act in such an unrealistic way, where it's like just
always doing the right
thing or remembering, and this is very realistic, like just two people who are in the wrong place at the wrong time situation
and have no idea what to do
and don't know what to do. And so, and there's like this absurdity to the situation that I think
it's like, of course, after this really emotional moment this happens,
and it's also just like, what the fuck is happening, that you can kind of see where humor would almost enter. Like, I feel like if you and I were in a situation like this,
God. What is happening? I would just be screaming. Or I would run. I flight in a fight or flight instance. I'm a runner.
That for you.
I'm like, no,
I think I'm too stupid. I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
I'm like, we gotta get out. I don't want to be anywhere near anything ever. Put me in, like, the void.
Right. So, anyways, he gets up and rides his bike away, and they're like, what the hell? So they sit back in the car, and they're like, okay, like, what do we do? And then all of a sudden, this guy, this mustachioed man, he comes over, and he's like, I'm a cop.
I need to use your
undercover.
car.
I need to use your car. Get in the backseat right now. So Kumail like falls onto the backseat, and
a high-speed chase
starts to happen.
Yeah. And, like, Kumail...
the whole time they're just, like...
Or Jibran and Leilani are, like, go this way! And they're just, like, yelling
and they're like,
he's
fast on that bike! Like, and then he's like, pedestrians, like, they're just...
What are jaywalkers doing? And he's like... Jibran's like, suspect is heading eastbound, like, not even knowing what he's saying.
So, anyway, they think they're with a nice policeman, and then they see the guy on the bike, and they're like, there he is! There he is, and then he just keeps going very fast,
speeding up
towards the bicycle man, and then they just run him over.
He hits him, and he like rolls over the top of the car, and like he's obviously still alive, and Jibran and Leilani are sitting there like, oh, he just hit him. I mean, like, the first hit you can think like, that was just a way to stop him, like, to incapacitate him so I can arrest him.
But even that, it was like, what just happened? Why were we involved in that?
Brute force.
Yeah.
And then they see the driver puts the car in reverse and backs up over the bicycle man and puts the car in drive and runs over the bicycle man. Reverse, runs, he does this about like four times. And both of their faces, like, their eyes are bugging out of their heads.
And they're just like...
silent. They have no idea what to say.
And then, basically, you can tell that the mustache man is, like, gonna probably get rid of them.
Yeah, because he goes to look for Bicycle Man's phone. And he realizes it's not on Bicycle Man.
Yes.
And thinks they have his phone. And as he's about to head over with a gun to get the phone, you hear police sirens. And Mustache Man runs away.
And then Jibran is like,
what do we do?
So I don't think he was a cop.
Yeah. I don't think he was a cop.
So then they get out of the car no. So then they're sitting in the car just kind of like bug-eyed, like staring. And this like hipster couple is like, oh my god, like what is that? Like,
is that a man?
Is that a dead man? It's so funny because it's so real.
It's like, and like it's set in New Orleans, and you can tell it's like this hipster couple trying to be very like New Orleans based. Like she's got like the witch hat on and everything.
Yeah, it's actually really it's
really funny.
And so then they get out of the car and walk over to the couple, and the hipster boy's like, "You killed him, like he's dead." And Jibran is like, "Well, I didn't kill him. I mean, I did hit him, but he was alive. He got on his bike. He was fine. But then then another guy came into the car, and you can tell that Leilani's like, we have to go.
Because, like, the girl who is in the credits as Mrs. Hipster. Is calling the police. And she says, because Leilani's like, the fact of the matter is, the police are coming, and I'm a black woman.
You're a brown.
You're a brown man. Like, this isn't going to work for us. Who are they going to believe? Us or the white couple? Like,
yeah, we need to go. So they run.
And Mrs. Hipster is on the phone, and she goes, it was an African-American woman and a man of color, and I'm not assuming because they are people of color that they did
they did the crime. Like, I'm serious. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
They just happened to be there.
They just happened to be there.
Which is, like, so funny.
And, like, yeah.
I feel like how, like, a lot of people would react at this point.
A lot of white people would be like, I'm so sorry.
Like, this is just what they happen to look like. Yeah.
Stoops.
So they run.
Yeah.
And, like, when they're about to run, Kumail says, 1, 2, 3, go! And, like, Kumail runs, or Jibran runs, and Leilani's like, what the So she starts running with him.
Yes.
They're very much not on the same page.
Yes. So they basically go to a diner. That's the next scene. And they're just, like, sitting there, like, completely stunned, like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And they start to argue. They order 2 alcohols. They start to argue because Jibran is like, we need to go to the police. And understandably, Leilani is like, you want me and you to go to the police station and say that, and tell them this story, that someone got into our car and drove over this
A white man got into our car and drove over this other white man.
Like, how are... No.
Unfortunately, like, that's not something we have to think about, but, like, they had to consider.
And she's like, this is me hiding my body cam as I beat the shit out of you because you're dumb. Like,
and then she's like, this is me throwing the book at you.
He's like, there's not a real book. Like, they're just, their arguments are so funny.
Yeah.
And, like, not to take it too serious, but, like, I love that they depicted that because, like...
Yeah, they addressed it.
It's so true. If it was 2 white people who were in that situation, they would just go to the police.
Yep.
But the reality is, like, for Leilani and Jibran to do that, it is more of a risk. Like, maybe that's what they should have done.
Yeah.
But...
it's something they have to consider. Like, these people are not our friends.
Yes.
And history has proven we can't trust them.
Exactly.
So they decide to go on the run. And the police call Leilani while they're at the diner. And they're like, the police officer's like, is this Leilani? Have you driven your car at all today? She's like, no, I'm just at home. What's going on? She's like, so if you look, you're just at home and your car's not there. And she's like, oh, let me go check. Oh my God, my car has been stolen. Like, is very clearly acting. And Jibran takes her phone and throws it in the milkshake.
Yeah. And then basically they just decide to run. And they realize that they kind of have to
figure this
solve the murder.
So they have, like, a reason to go to the police and be
say,
like,
we didn't do this, and exonerate themselves.
Which is another instance of, like, having to work twice as hard to prove that you're innocent.
T.
Yeah. But they see, since they still have Bicycle Man's phone, they see that he has an appointment with someone named Edie at a bar.
Oh, and this is because this is where they're like by the river, and he and he like throws.
He throws. They're doing everything that would implicate
Literally,
them.
his jacket has blood on it, and he throws it into the river. Like, what are you doing?
There is not a single Virgo in this movie, I will say.
I know. I it's so true. I feel like this is how I would be in this situation.
I watch way too many.
But I feel like any Virgos.
I watch Law and Order SVU, Criminal Minds. I know what they're thinking.
It's just so funny. Yeah, and I do love the moment where Jibran says, "We couldn't figure out our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you expect us to figure out who murdered Bicycle?"
Yeah.
Oh, because that's what they call him.
Oh, they call the man who's been murdered Bicycle.
And then they call the
Mustache.
killer Mustache. Bicycle.
I mean, it makes sense. No. Like, what else would you say? So when they realize that they have to meet Edie at the bar because they want to solve this, they get there, and it's like a very young, hip bar, and like very New Orleans energy. And Edie texts the Bicycle man, "I don't see you, I'm on the balcony." So they go up to the balcony, where there is a blonde woman and a camp, in like very like undercover detective clothes. It's like very Carmen Sandiego.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're like, Edie, and they're just saying her name really loudly. She's like, "Will you shut up? Like, let's go." And they're like, she's like, do you work with this man?" And they're like, "No, we just wanted to talk to you." And she's like, "The least you could do is act like you know what I'm talking about."
Yeah.
So she takes them somewhere. She takes them behind the bar, and they get knocked out. And they're essentially kidnapped and taken to this house where they're tied to a chair.
Yeah, and this part's like actually scary.
Yeah, this movie's actually kind of scary, a lot of it.
It's definitely like a crime-y movie, you know?
Crime-y.
It has that, like, suspense.
Yeah, it's suspenseful.
It's really impressive how they were able to make it
like
so
ease
funny.
The tension, yeah.
But, like, still have that, like, genuine, like, oh, shit, like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I feel like this is, like, a movie that really shows, like, what's in store for comedy and romantic comedies in the future, which I really love, because I really like this direction.
Yeah, I feel like the dialogue was just like so natural.
Yeah, 100%.
It had such like a real feel to it, and I do think that I could see that being like.
Yeah, I feel like the more you let actors improv, like,
especially
the better. Especially if they're good improvers. Yeah. So they're at this house. They're both tied to chairs.
They don't know what's going on, but this Southern lady and her clearly congressman. Yeah,
he's got like a mask on, and she's like, "Why are you trying to blackmail me and the congressman?" And he goes, "Did you just tell them I'm a congressman?" And she was like, "I don't." Like, clearly they never done what they're doing.
No one knows what they're doing.
No one.
But she's like, "I got bacon grease, and I'm."
You're gonna tell me who you work for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a choice. You got to tell me who you work for, or you're gonna get hit in the face with bacon grease.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Or you can pick, like, what's behind this door. And so, Leilani is like, "Just do the bacon grease." And he's like, "I don't want to be a burn victim. Like, that's going to hurt so much.
I'm going to be single after this."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm going to be single. I have to go on Bumble." Like,
she's like, "I would date a burn victim." And he was like, "I want to see you dating a burn victim
if
after
you don't
if you're not dating a burn victim."
If I go to Facebook and you're not dating a burn victim.
She's like, "Oh, I'm blocking you as soon as this is over."
And so and it's so funny that, like, all this is happening while this woman is standing there with like a pan of bacon grease. And she's like, "So what do you choose?" And he's just like, "I guess behind the door." And Leilani's like, "No!"
Yeah.
So she drags the chair over.
Yeah. And they open the door.
And there's like a horse.
A horse's ass, if you will. Ass.
And of course, I would have thought this too. Yeah. He goes, "Is it gonna shit on me?"
What is it gonna shit on me?
I would have thought that too. I would have been like, "Ew."
And she just like the congressman's wife, like, just like clicks her tongue, and the horse kicks the shit out of Jibran, and he just decks him.
Yeah.
And he ends up on the floor, and like his chair like breaks and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, right in the sternum. That shit would have been
Ooh.
broken.
In real life, yeah.
IRL, like, there would have been a punctured lung or something.
Ooh. But yeah, so then it's like, it's Leilani's turn.
And she goes, bacon grease!
Bacon grease, bacon grease! But as...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As they're about to, like, throw the bacon grease on Leilani, Jibran, like, jumps up because he's, like, untied now and, like, beats the shit out of them, essentially.
Yeah.
He holds his own.
And he throws horseshoes at them.
Yeah. It's, like, funny watching these, like, civilians try to engage in these very real fights.
Yeah.
Because they just, like, take everything around them and throw them at people.
Yes.
And
Jibran also finds a piece of paper on the floor, grabs it, and then he's like, okay, 3, 2, 1, because he thought they were like about to actually fight. And Leilani like throws the weapon she has and just runs. So then he does the same thing, and they end up at like a pharmacy, and they realize they need to change.
They gotta change because they're very obvious in what they're wearing, and also, like, yeah, it's just, they've got, like, horse shit all over them, too.
Yeah.
So they're at the farmer's, and they're, like, wearing what you would find at a CVS. It's, like, if you've ever gone to, like, the beach or something and realized, I'm not dressed for the beach, and I need to grab clothes real quick. Like, it's just these really shitty, like, tourist t-shirts, or, like, a unicorn sweater. Like, Leilani gets a unicorn sweater.
Yeah.
Jibran's wearing, like, all of these, like, New Orleans garb. It's so funny.
And a camo hat that says in gold, blessed.
Yeah. And so Jibran is struggling to, like, get changed. So Leilani, like, takes him to the back of the store and helps him get changed. And, like, you can tell it's, like, this really tender moment where, like, she's trying to, like, help take care of him. And, like, it's just really cute.
It is cute.
I love those. I love in the middle of, like, really action-packed movies when it's just, like, this, like, calm moment and, like, you can see, like, the connection between two people.
Totally. So they get changed and they get an Uber or, like, a Lyft.
Oh, yeah. She said, you got a ride share? Because as they're driving, so,
they decide, because of this piece of paper that they found.
There's an address on it.
Yeah, they decide to go to Bicycle's house.
Yeah. And as they're driving to the house, the Uber stops and picks up 2 more people. And he was like, it's just the setting I have on it. I totally forgot. And, like, the 2 people in the car with them are, like, so in love. It's,
like, very New Orleans. Like, they have the beads on and, like, those huge, like...
Oh, those tall, like,
drinks, like, slushy drinks.
And, like, the guy screaming, like, I love you more than my mom! And Leilani turns around and goes, shut the fuck up! It's all fun and games now, but it's gonna end. And, like, very clearly projecting. So they get to Bicycle Man's house.
And that whole scene is hilarious where they're like, again, this is how it would feel if, like, if you were normal and you were, like, I guess I have to break into
this apartment building.
Home, yeah.
Yeah, because it's, like, an apartment building with glass front doors. And he's like, we can use your heel to, like, break the glass door. And she's like, how would it do that? He was like, I saw it on Mythbusters once. And she went, oh, so you do like reality TV? And they end up breaking the heel instead. And he went, oh, wait, the myth got busted. Stoops.
So, yeah, so they go up and they decide to get in through, like, the fire escape and break a window. And so they go to what they think is his room, and that's also hilarious, just, like, them trying to break the glass, because, you know, in normal movies, it's, like, one punch. Or, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But, in this, he just keeps, like, repeatedly, like, kind of like, softly punching.
He'll, like, punch it and then pull his hand away because he, like, clearly doesn't want to get broken glass.
Which is, like,
so realistic.
Yes, you never think about that in those situations. So, it's really funny. And then they get in and they hear that there's, like, music outside and they're like, what the hell is going on?
It's Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind.
Which...
No, that's Jumper. I'm thinking of a different song. Anyway, they're like, how did we end up in, like, a frat house? What is going on?
Yeah, they called it, like, a date rape laboratory, because there's, like, all these, like, probably, like, 21 to 23-year-old, like...
frat boys.
White frat boys, yeah.
And they're all, like, stuffing pictures into envelopes. And they're like, oh my god, that must be the blackmail that the congressman
was talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, congressman, yeah.
And so they decide they're going to take an envelope and then head out. But they keep, like, opening the door and closing it and, like, can't decide on what to do to get the envelope. And suddenly, one of the frat boys, like, falls into the bedroom, and they decide they're going to become the interrogators now because they've been interrogated. And, like, just Leilani, like, slapping him in the face, like, shut the fuck up. Like, trying to be really hard.
It's really funny, like, because, again, they don't know what they're doing, but it's, like, the way they do it is so real. They're just saying, like, the craziest shit.
I feel like I would have no idea how to interrogate any human being. I would just be like, can you... I have a question. Feel free not to answer it, but if that's, like... You know, intrusive.
No worries if not.
I will no worries if not myself into an early grave, I swear. But yeah, so they're clearly trying to, like, get answers out of him. And Jibran's like, our questions are going to be answered, and your questions are going to be answered with my fist. Like, it's, like, so unintimidating.
Insane.
So they say, like, oh, yeah, this guy's just, like, my roommate, and, like, he pays us to stuff these envelopes and send them out. That's it.
Yeah, he's like, they told us, like, the less we know, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So they let this kid go. Or no, he gets up and runs, and he's like, help. And then all of a sudden you hear, like, a silencer.
Oh, my God.
And you see that Mustache is in the apartment.
Mustache.
And Mustache just killed
all the date rape men.
Date rape McGee and all his friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, Leilani and Jibran are like, oh shit.
Freaking out.
They do have the envelope though, or one envelope because he had brought one into the room.
And they hide in the closet.
Yeah, they hide in the closet, and like this guy's just like talking on the phone with his gun. Like, against, like, just right against
like, scratching his face with his gun. Like, I'm like,
That's so dangerous, my dude. Like, what if you accidentally shot it?
Never point a loaded gun unless you plan to shoot it.
Okay.
Put it away. This is why
Gun safety 101.
Gun safety. There's a reason we lock them up, even if they're unloaded. And that's just a little bit of gun safety for everyone out there.
Anyways, so yeah. So, basically... he gets off the phone and, like, leaves the room. Mm-hmm. And they, as quickly as possible, run out the window.
Yeah.
But they left the closet doors open, and so...
Again, not a single Virgo in this movie.
So, Mustache goes back into the room, and he's like, oh, shit, because he realizes...
The doors were
somebody
closed.
was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Leilani and Jibran are on a bus because they decide they have to get away from Bicycle Man's apartment as quick as possible, and they realize they need to unlock the phone in order to get more information about, like, what these photos are. Because, like, the photos are just kind of people with, like, these weird, like...
Masks on.
Like, pandemic masks on.
They're in, like, a weird, kind of, like... Either there has to be more information on the phone, or...
Yeah.
They're shit out of luck. Yeah.
So, Leilani says, like, oh, well, this guy I work with is in IT. And, like, Jibran's like, of course, he's in IT. Like, this is the guy from earlier who steals the Cat Williams jokes.
Is Keith? Yeah.
Keith, yeah. So they decide they have to go to the dinner party they were originally going to in order to get Keith to open the phone. So they get in there, and mind you, they're still dressed in, like, CVS
They
Couture.
look insane. CVS Couture? Not CVS Couture.
CVS Couture, the
CVS
house down
Extravaganza. Oh, my God.
Category is Walgreens realness.
Yes.
So they get in there, and everyone's like, hi, look who decided to show up. Like,
they're a little bit too preoccupied on, like, them being late.
Yeah,
and
which
not,
is,
like, what they're wearing or how insane they seem.
Or the fact that Jibran's face is, like, bruised to shit.
Yeah.
They don't, like, address that until, like, 5 minutes in. And so they decide to go with the lie that Jibran's been taking boxing lessons. And that's why his face is all bruised. And... oh no, he might have a head injury, and he can't remember the passcode to his phone. How will we get in it? So Keith says, oh, I can get into that for you. And so Leilani is talking to the hostess while Keith and Jibran are trying to open the phone. And it's kind of like these two alternating scenes where you realize, like, they've been comparing their relationship to other people's relationships or, like, having their own insecurities based off of, like, not real life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just, like, I mean, and I think it so easily can happen, like, if you've been with someone for a while and it's, like, you're looking anywhere for, like...
The grass is always greener.
And, like, you're looking anywhere for validation of your insecurities, you know?
So Leilani is realizing, like, maybe her and Jibran's relationship isn't so
as
terrible
bad.
Because, you know, she's been comparing it to her friend's relationship, and she's like, oh, we argue all the time. Like, I only post pictures of us in bed to make my exes jealous. And, what's it called? And Jibran is talking to Keith, and Keith is like, yeah, Leilani's so in love with you. Like, she talks about you all the time.
Oh.
And it's, like, such a sweet moment, because, like, it's just, like, the validation Jibran wanted, that, like, Leilani
really
was in love with him.
So often I feel like the issue is that, like, we let fear convince us that, like, people don't really care about us or people don't really love us.
Well, yeah, and it's like we talked about in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, like, Leilani brings up that the shoes she was wearing were her date shoes. And Jibran's like, I didn't know you had date shoes. She's like, I got them for you. And it's like, you know, people can be putting in this extra effort that the other person doesn't even realize notice because, like, no one's talking about things, you know?
Totally.
So they get the phone open, and the passcode was just 1234.
Which is hilarious.
Like,
that detail's so funny.
Like, and they don't even bring it up. Like, no one talks about it, but I saw, like, as it opened, it was 1234. I was like, you fucking kidding me?
But you know how it is with phones, if you try too many combinations,
it'll lock.
So it's like you don't want to risk it.
And they figured because he was white, they were doing, like, Independence Day and stuff like that. So Jibran sees that Bicycle has an invitation to, like, this club that's got the same symbol that was on, like, the blackmail photos.
Yes. So
he tells Leilani, like, oh, my doctor is available to see me for my head injury, but he's at
fancy
a fancy
gala
party. Yeah. So Leilani's like, she asks her friend to hide the photos because she pretends that they're Jibran's dick pics, and she's like, we just broke up. I can't look at them right now.
Which is ridiculous.
So they borrow, like, fancy clothes from their friends, and, like, it's a really nice moment where you can tell they're, like, finding each other attractive again.
Yeah, they're both like, we're hot.
We're hot as fuck.
Which they are.
They are hot.
Yes.
And they're headed to the party. And as they're driving there, they're in an Uber.
Oh my god, I love this part. And
yeah.
It's so funny because you can tell Jibran is, like, really anxious.
He's so stressed.
And this stupid Katy Perry song, Firework, comes on.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't pretend you don't like this song.
And he's like, stop trying to get me to sing along. You do this when I'm stressed.
Yeah. And she starts to sing, and then, like, finally, after, like, a couple minutes, he starts to, like, get really into it.
Baby, you're a bad. I mean, that's a song that'll really pump anyone up, to be honest. As, like, cheesy as it is, sometimes it's just, like...
No, that song weirdly is, you said it earlier, it's cathartic.
Yeah.
It's weirdly, it has, like, such a positive feeling to it.
And sometimes I do feel like a plastic bag. You know, she captured that emotion very well.
Yeah.
Or whoever wrote the song captured that emotion very well. So they get to the party, and Jibran shows, like, the phone to the bouncer, and he basically just scans it and lets him in. They get in
so easily. They're like,
that's
okay.
it.
So then they put on these, like, freaky little masks, and they are basically shuffled into this, like, auditorium. And everyone's wearing masks. And the masks are, like...
They're those, what are they? They're like the plague doctor masks. That's what they're called.
Oh.
Yeah, because plague doctors used to stuff, like, herbs and whatnot in those long noses and burn them. Because they thought that would help stave off the plague.
Interesting.
A little bit of history for you there.
So they have, like, really long noses. There's different styles, but, like, yeah, they're very creepy looking. They have definitely, like, culty vibes.
Yeah. And everyone, like, knows what to do at the same time.
Yeah, there's, like, a weird chanting going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much clearly, like, an underground society type situation.
Yeah.
So, they come out with, like, this, like, bingo spinner
Roller
thing, and Leilani's like, is it gonna be bingo?
I love bingo.
And then, basically, they call out all these numbers. Everyone has, like, a number.
Mm-hmm.
And they all go up onto the stage, and they all take off their robes, and they start to fuck.
Yeah, there's an orgy, and it's funny because in the beginning of the movie, they were like, Leilani's like, I want to do freaky shit, like, let's do an orgy, and, like, Jibran's like, you have to plan an orgy, you need, like, a calendar, like, they're all on iGoogle, I bet, like, and he says, like, I bet they plan this on their iCal, it's all in everyone's iCal. And yeah, they start getting into it. They're putting in work.
And then, like, right in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
there's, like, this stupid, like, head guy is like, there's an imposter among
Yeah, this,
us.
like, siren goes off.
And then it's like, take off your masks if you're not the imposters.
Yeah, he was like, so we can see everyone's faces on the count of 3, take off your mask. So they count to 3, and Jibran and Leilani are the only two who take off their masks, because they're like, everyone knows that a true member would never take off the mask.
Yes. So, they're like, oops. And then they kind of start to, like, get attacked by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden these, like, this alarm starts to go off.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody evacuates.
So quickly.
Except for those two. And they're just like, what's
the
happening?
fuck?
And then there's police surrounding them.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, they're in
An interrogation
room. And they're arguing
Of
some
course.
more.
And, like, as they're arguing, you see behind, like, the two-sided mirrors, these two investigators, and one's like, I don't think they should break up.
Yeah.
And the other one goes, relationships are so hard.
Yeah.
It's, like, such a funny moment.
No, it's really cute. And also, like, they think that they're going to jail. Like, they
Mhm.
think that they're getting arrested. So then this woman comes in, and she's like, we've been looking all over the city for you, like, to try to protect you.
Yeah.
Like, you are key witnesses to this murder. And they're like,
You don't think we did this?
wait. And she goes, no, we caught it all on traffic cam.
Like, the entire time.
The
They had footage of them running away because someone else killed this man.
Like, they could have gone to the police straight away. But instead, an hour and a half of madness ensued.
In movie time.
In
real time, it was probably like 4 hours
True.
of
Yeah,
stress.
way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, fuck. So, basically, they're told that they should go home and get some sleep, and in the morning they'll bring them back in, but they'll have someone protecting their house all night just to make sure
Keeping an
that
eye on
nobody
them.
comes to get them.
Yeah.
Cool. So, they're in the police car on their way home.
Whoop whoop.
And they're talking about, like, I can't believe that happened, blah, blah, blah. Like, just, like, kind of going over it. And then...
They say, I still can't figure out who the mustache guy was, or, like, why he did this. And, like, the driver of the car turns around, and who is it but Mustache?
Mustache Man. What a twist.
What a twist. Yeah, I was really shocked. And he turns around and goes, I didn't lie, I am a cop. But he's been working as, like, a double agent, like, being hired as a hitman for this secret society who does these orgies because, like, it's filled with, like, important people. And they knew that someone was blackmailing them.
And they probably do more than orgies.
Yeah. But he was also getting a cut from the blackmail. So he was getting money from the orgy people to be their hitman, but also getting money from blackmailing the orgy people, and also getting paid to investigate the orgy people. And he said, like, the bicycle man got too greedy, like, he wasn't giving him his fair cut,
Yeah, he
so
told
he had
him
to
he was
kill
his
him.
best friend. He was like, he was my best friend, and then I had to kill him. And then he's like, you can't trust anyone.
It's so weird.
Especially Siobhan.
Siobhan, and they're like, I'm sure Siobhan didn't mean to. And then he's like, you keep her name out of your mouth.
And, like, pointing the gun at them, and, like, it's really intense. So then he, like, pulls over. He basically tells them he's gonna kill them, and he goes and he's, like, preparing the scene. And
he's got them in zip ties.
Zip ties. And Jibran is like, I think he's not over Siobhan. Stupid.
So they decide to use the cigarette lighter from the car to burn through the zip ties, and they like pretend they've still got their hands behind their backs, and Mustache Man comes and pulls them out of the car, takes them down to a boat, and says like, because Leilani's like, you know, they're gonna know it was you who killed us,
Right.
and he says, no, you guys don't know, but the masked murderer came and tied you guys up and killed you and got us onto a boat and shot me, but I survived.
Yeah.
Um,
So crazy.
it's insane. And
We
so
did not stand.
he's trying to decide who to kill first. So he's going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And on Mo, both Leilani and Jibran like realize like they're on the same page and attack him.
Yes.
Which like is a nice moment.
Yes, it's kind of like they realize.
Finally.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So they attack him. The gun flies. Leilani ends up picking up the gun, and Mustache has Jibran in a headlock.
And is basically like, if you don't put the gun down, I'm gonna break his neck.
She goes, "You can't break his neck. He's got a thick neck."
So then they are arguing again.
Yeah.
Because Jibran's like, he definitely can break my neck. And Leilani's like, no, he can't. Like, I can get this. I have a shot. And
Yeah.
he's like, you don't have a good shot. Like,
She's
why
like,
are
"Do you
we
really
arguing
wanna get
about-"
into this right
they're
now?
Like, and then the Mustache is like, you guys are so annoying.
You
Like,
remind me of my parents.
You remind me of my parents. He has issues.
Yeah.
This guy.
And you can tell like his grip on Jibran is loosening because he's getting annoyed at their arguing. So Leilani just yells, 1, 2, 3, go, and Jibran pulls out of his grip and she shoots Mustache.
Like, it's like, boom. It's like they're
Yeah.
on the same page.
They're finally on the same page.
Which is so, it's such good writing.
It's such, I said like there's a lot of callbacks in this movie, which like I love because it's so fun to be like, oh, like they talked about earlier. Like,
I just love the details in
Yeah.
like being able to like bring things full circle. That like completion is like, ooh, it just feels good.
yeah. So then after that, the police come, they get Mustache Man, and Jibran and Leilani are in the back of the car. Or the back of the ambulance.
Yeah, they're sitting kind of like on the back, and they're just talking.
Yeah, and they like basically decide not to break up.
And it's really cute because they're like looking at each other, and
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like,
Is that your kiss face?
Is that your kiss face? Do you want to kiss me? And
He's like, no, you want to kiss me.
I think you're projecting. Like, you want to kiss me.
Yeah.
And they end up kissing, and then like the guy, and they're talking about like, she's like, I'm never shooting anyone again. That was horrible. Like, whatever. And then the driver of the ambulance is like, hey, we got to take you to the hospital. It's like protocol. And so they are like going to like close the doors in the back of the ambulance, and she's like, is it freaky to have sex in an ambulance? And he's like, oh yeah,
I'm down.
I'm down. So that's how it ends.
That's how you think it ends.
Yeah.
And then we get like a title card that says 1 year later, and it's like the opening to Amazing Race, like the TV show. And Jibran and Leilani are on the Amazing
They're like about
Race.
to win.
They're so close to winning. And the last thing they have to do is ride a horse, even though Jibran never wanted to look at a horse again. And it's just like a really cute way to like end the movie.
It's so cute.
Because like they're doing the Amazing Race, they're winning, they're on the same page, like they're still arguing, like bickering, but it's like
that's just
lovable.
who they are.
Yeah.
That's just a part of their vibe. It's like they tease each other and bicker and whatever.
Yeah. And that's how the movie ends. And it's just so sweet.
It is so sweet.
I love this movie. It was my first time watching it, and I was a big fan.
Yeah. It really made me laugh. Like, the first time I watched it, I was shocked. Like, I mean, I knew it was going to be funny. But, like, I was laughing my ass off.
I was surprised at how much I loved this movie. Like, I didn't doubt I would like it because, like, I love Camille. I love Issa Rae. Like, I think they're just both so talented and so funny. And also, a film by Michael Showalter.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Oh, my God. I'm
Underrated.
such a big fan of Michael Showalter. Out of the two Michaels, I can't remember the other Michael's name, but he's, like, a lot bigger than Michael Showalter. But I think he's so funny. Everyone watch Wet Hot American Summer. I'm so happy
That's Mike's,
he was...
like, favorite.
I'm so happy he was involved with this movie because, like, it really shows through, like, just like the improv and like the comedy stylings of it. Love
yeah,
you,
you
Michael.
can feel that
Mm-hmm.
that vibe
Yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, it was just overall like such a fun movie, and if you haven't seen it, we just spoiled a bunch of twists
this is the
for
type
you.
of movie I hope you've already seen.
Yeah, we forgot to say that in the beginning. There's twists and turns.
Yeah, there's a lot of twists. I mean, we can always add it in, but
True.
yeah. So, Danielle,
Oh no.
how did this movie fuck you up?
How did this movie fuck me up? I gotta stop singing. Why am I singing all the time? It fucked me up because I guess it's just like, I don't know. There's like so many people who are willing to just kind of like throw in the towel on a relationship, like when things get really difficult. Like obviously 4 years is a long time to be together and realize you don't want to be with each other. But I guess it fucked me up because like you don't always need something traumatic to happen to like bring you closer together with someone, but like just showing the communication and like the communication of insecurities, though through the most bizarre circumstances.
Totally.
Just seeing people like want to work on their relationship rather than just like giving up on it because of poor communication. Communication is something that can be worked on and is beautiful when it is, and I am very inspired by. But I think that's how it fucked me up because I just want someone to talk to me.
Aww.
That's it.
I love
Healthy
that.
communication, babes.
I love that.
Catherine,
Yes.
how did this movie fuck you up?
I think I just love, like, the cast a lot. And also, I love Kumail so much. Like, you know, being roommates with Kelly, who was, like, you know, the biggest fan of Meltdown, and, like, which was Kumail's weekly comedy show that he had here in LA. He feels like, I know I don't know him, but I feel like I do. And so to see him succeeding and, like, becoming such, like, a big star and making a ton of money, and I just am really happy for him, and I think he's so talented and so deserving of that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see people like Issa and Kumail getting these leading roles.
Issa Rae, if you're listening.
You know?
Yeah.
It just makes me so happy to see that it's changing and shifting, and, like, people like Michael Showalter are, like, helping to bring us into...
uplift these voices, yeah.
Exactly. So that's, I think, how it fucked me up. Also, it's just so funny, like... I feel like it's so rare now that I, like, have shit that makes me, like, truly laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Like, comedy that makes me, like, really laugh. And this movie, like, I'm laughing the whole time.
Same.
Yeah.
I was really surprised because, like, there's a lot of times with new rom-coms where I'm like...
Or just new comedies.
New comedies in general. Because I feel like after, like, the early 2000s Judd Apatow renaissance, when it was, like, a lot of, like... Will Ferrell movies or like buddy movies, stuff like that. Like after that, like that comedy doesn't really resonate anymore, you know?
It is weird. I always talk about... Do we have a comedy podcast?
True.
Because last episode we talked about this too, but I was going to say, like, comedy is one of those genres that, like, does not hold up.
No.
Like, it's very much about time
changing.
and place. It changes. Like, thinking about, like, how big Adam Sandler was, and, like, Waterboy, and, like, Mr. Deeds, and, like, those movies. Now, if you watch that for the first time, you would be like, I don't get it. Like, this isn't funny.
It's, like...
It's so much about, like, pop culture in the moment that it's really hard for comedies to hold up. But I feel like something like this has that feeling of, like, almost like a classic, like, romantic comedy, like a Cary Grant kind of,
yeah,
like...
100%.
Like, what is that movie? There's, like, a couple, like, kind of crime movies that he's in that are so funny, and, like... Yeah. Movies like that. I feel like it's gonna hold
Cary
up.
Grant. But yeah. I agree. I think it's gonna stand through time. Yeah, there's not a lot of, like, topical humor, you know? It's a lot of, like, really, like, basic humor, and they did it in such a great way. So yeah, I loved it. For the first time watching, I'll probably watch it again.
Yeah, it's got that kind of vibe.
I guess there's only one more thing to ask.
What is it?
Did they or didn't they?
They bloody did,
They
mate.
bloody did the damn thing.
They bloody ended up together, even though in the beginning it seemed like they wouldn't.
I know. I was nervous. I was like, Are they not going to end up together? I don't want that.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
They are.
Yeah, they did. Yay! They did. They did. They did.
Hey.
They did.
Hey.
They did.
Hey.
They did. They did.
Why do you have to come up with a song for everything?
I don't know. This is my comedy. This is my cross to bear. I'm just so musical. But yeah, that's it. That's the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thank you to Pearl for the use of our theme song.
Yes.
Everyone go look her up on Instagram, Pearl
You
and the
are
Prayers.
so funny during the outro. I do not get a word in edgewise.
I'm
but
so sorry.
I love it. You literally are just like, and blah, 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 and bye and goodbye.
It's like those like medication commercials where it's like,
and I'm just like, yeah,
if
see you
you're
later.
using some
Bye.
vocal there, maybe. I'm
like-
so sorry.
No, it's so funny. I noticed it last week where I was like,
Take it away, man.
yeah. So thank you so much, everybody.
No.
You bitch! You remember in the beginning of this episode where I said this was actually a guise to tell you that I don't want to make a podcast with you anymore? I'm just kidding.
My heart just fell out of my butt.
Stop.
It's fine, we're fine.
I love Danielle so much. And
love
if you
Katie
question
so much.
that...
If anyone lays a finger on Katie, I don't know how you'd find us to begin with, but I will find you.
Whoa.
And I'll probably give you a stern talking to.
I'll say, if not...
I'll say, why'd you do that, friend? Why?
No worries if not.
No worries if not. Like, I'd like to have a conversation. No worries if not.
Stop. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
We love you, and we are so excited to continue to give you these episodes. We hope you're enjoying.
Make sure to like and review and subscribe and download and all the things, and tell your friends about us, please.
Yes.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram.
And if you happen to be someone with any clout or a following or amount of money and you would like to help us,
wow.
just like if you're thinking like, should I help them? You should.
Don't do it. I'm kidding. Anyone, just share our posts or whatever if you can, or if you think your friends will be interested. And that's our show.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
Bye.